As my wife opened her robe, revealing her bare body, I stared in shock. "For 20 years I've been faithful," she said, "but I've finally accepted another man's offer. Whether you like it or not, I'm spending the night with him. He'll be here soon." Without a word, I walked to the safe, grabbed my magnum, and said coldly, "Then I'll end him without a second thought." It was a warm summer evening, the kind where laughter and music filled the air. I had been dragged to a friend's birthday party, more interested in the free drinks than socializing. That's when I saw her. Lisa. She was standing near the bar, a drink in hand, laughing at something her friend had said. Her smile was radiant, the kind that could light up a room. And when our eyes met, something clicked. I don't know if it was fate or just dumb luck, but somehow we ended up talking. She was smart, funny, a little bit of a troublemaker, the kind of woman who could challenge me and keep me on my toes. By the end of the night, I knew one thing. I wanted more. Lisa wasn't like anyone I had met before. She had this energy, this passion for life that was infectious. We started dating, and every moment felt like something out of a movie. Late-night drives, long conversations under the stars, laughter that never seemed to end. A year later, I proposed. She said yes. Marriage was supposed to be the happily ever after, and for a while, it was. We built a life together. I worked my way up in my career, landing a solid job in finance. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid well, gave us a comfortable life. Lisa worked in event planning, always busy, always social. We had our struggles like any couple, but we always found our way back to each other. At least that's what I thought. I provided. I stayed loyal. I loved her with everything I had. But now, standing here, staring at the woman who once promised me forever, I realized I had been living a lie. The night had started like any other. I sat in my recliner, flipping through TV channels, half listening to the faint hum of my wife, Lisa, moving around in the bedroom. 20 years of marriage had settled us into a familiar rhythm, comfortable, predictable. I wasn't expecting anything unusual, no warning signs, no tension in the air, just another quiet night in our home. Then Lisa stepped into the living room. At first, I barely glanced up, but something about her presence made me look again. She stood there in her silk robe, the dim light casting a soft glow around her. Her hair was styled, makeup flawless. She looked different. "What's up?" I asked, sensing something off. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took a deep breath and slowly untied the robe. And that's when my entire world shifted. My jaw went slack as the robe slipped off her shoulders, revealing that she had nothing on underneath. My mind scrambled for an explanation. Was this some kind of surprise? A rekindling of old passion? "Lisa, what's this about?" I finally managed to ask. She paused, then partially covered herself as if teasing me with a hint of modesty. But her next words shattered any illusions I had. "For 20 years I've been faithful to you, even though many men pursued me," she said, her voice unnervingly calm. "But I've finally decided to accept one of their offers. Whether you like it or not, I'm spending the night with him." Her words hit me like a bullet to the chest. "What the hell are you talking about?" I demanded, my voice sharp. She didn't flinch. If anything, there was a trace of satisfaction in her expression. "Get ready," she continued, adjusting her robe. "He'll be here soon." My pulse thundered in my ears. My hands clenched into fists. Without a word, I stood up. walked to the safe in the corner, and unlocked it. Lisa's smug expression flickered for the first time as I reached inside. I pulled out my Magnum. The weight of it in my hand felt cold, solid, final. I turned to face her, my voice deadly calm. I will end him without a second thought. Lisa's eyes flickered toward the Magnum in my hand. For the first time, her confidence wavered. The smug, self-assured expression she had just moments ago. Gone. But she didn't step back. Instead, she crossed her arms, pulling her robe tighter around her body. Her voice was calmer than it should have been. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic." Dramatic? Dramatic! My pulse hammered in my skull. My hands clenched so tightly around the gun that my knuckles went white. "You think this is a joke?" My voice was low, steady, but beneath it, there was a storm. "You stand there. Tell me you're screwing another man in my own house, my house, then expect me to just sit here and accept it?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "I knew you'd act like this. You always have to be in control, don't you? Always so serious, so intense. Maybe that's why I finally decided to do this. Because I needed something exciting for once." That stung. More than I wanted to admit. I had spent 20 years building a life for us. 20 years of love, loyalty, sacrifice. And now, she was standing there, throwing it back in my face like it was nothing, like I was nothing. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice raw. She hesitated just for a second, then smirked. "Why do you care?" "He'll be here soon." The words cut deep, but they also cleared my mind. She had already made her choice. She had already replaced me. The anger didn't fade, but something inside me shifted. A cold realization settled in. I wasn't just dealing with betrayal anymore. I was dealing with a woman who never really valued me in the first place. Slowly, I loosened my grip on the gun. Not because I was backing down, but because I had just decided on something. Lisa wasn't worth a bullet. But that didn't mean I wouldn't make her regret this. A tense silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Lisa's arms were still crossed, but there was a flicker of something in her expression. Hesitation, maybe even guilt, but she wasn't backing down. "You really want to know?" she finally asked. "Fine, I'll tell you." She sat down on the couch, casually tucking her legs beneath her, as if this was just another conversation, as if she wasn't ripping apart everything we had built together. I didn't move. My grip on the gun loosened, but the rage inside me didn't. "His name is Ryan," she said, almost dreamily. "We met at an event I was organizing about 6 months ago. He's different." I let out a bitter laugh. "Different? How so?" Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw something real there, something raw. "He makes me feel alive." The words sliced through me like a blade. "And I don't?" My voice was lower now. "Dangerous." She sighed, shaking her head. "It's not that. It's just, with you, everything became predictable, routine. I knew exactly what each day would look like. You'd wake up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. You were so focused on being responsible, on providing for us, that you stopped seeing me." I clenched my jaw, my patience wearing thin. "So, you decided to find someone else instead of talking to me?" Lisa looked away for a moment, then shrugged. "Ryan is exciting. He's spontaneous. He does things without overthinking. The first night we met, he convinced me to sneak out of my own event and go on a midnight drive. We ended up on the beach, just talking, drinking, laughing. My stomach churned. So that's all it took? A drive, a few laughs, and suddenly 20 years of marriage meant nothing. Lisa exhaled sharply, rubbing her temples. It wasn't just that. It was the way he looked at me. Like I was desirable. Like I was the most interesting person in the world. Do you even remember the last time you looked at me like that? I didn't answer. Because deep down, I knew she was right. Not about her betrayal, I would never justify that, but about the slow fade of passion in our marriage. Somewhere along the way, I had stopped appreciating her. I had let our love become just another part of the routine. But did that excuse what she was doing? Hell no. So what now? I asked coldly. You throw away everything for some guy who took you on a few joy rides? Lisa met my gaze, her lips curving into a sad, knowing smile. He's not just some guy, and it's not just a fling. I love him. The final nail in the coffin. I stared at her, my heart pounding. The weight of her words settled over me, suffocating, crushing. But beneath the pain, something else stirred. If she thought she could just walk away from this unscathed, she was dead wrong. Lisa's words still echoed in my mind. I love him. That was it. The final betrayal. The moment I realized that the woman I had spent 20 years building a life with, the woman I had sacrificed for, was already gone, my grip on the gun tightened again. Not out of a desire to pull the trigger, but to control the rage that was now pulsing through me like wildfire. Lisa sat there, her expression a mix of defiance and something else. Relief. As if finally confessing to her affair had unburdened her. As if she had been dying to tell me this for months. Say something, she muttered. I laughed. A hollow, bitter laugh that even I didn't recognize. What do you want me to say, Lisa? That I understand. That I forgive you. That I'll just sit here like a fool while your lover walks through my front door? She flinched at my words but quickly recovered. I never meant to hurt you, she said, her voice softer now. I just don't. I cut her off, shaking my head. You don't get to play the victim here. She sighed, running a hand through her hair, clearly frustrated that I wasn't reacting the way she wanted me to. Look, she said, her tone shifting to something more measured. I didn't come into this marriage thinking I would ever cheat. I loved you. I really did. But somewhere along the way, we lost each other. And Ryan, he made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. Lust, I spat. She frowned. Number alive. I wanted to argue, to tell her she was being ridiculous, that she was confusing excitement with love, that her newfound happiness was nothing more than a temporary high. But what was the point? She had already decided. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I wasn't going to let her see how much this was destroying me. So, what now? I asked, my voice eerily steady. Lisa hesitated. I don't know, she admitted. I told Ryan to meet me here because I needed to be honest with you first, but yeah, I'm leaving. Whether you accept it or not. I nodded slowly, a dangerous calm washing over me. Then I guess I should meet the man who destroyed my marriage. Lisa's eyes widened slightly, but before she could say anything, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway filled the air. Ryan was here. My blood ran cold. I placed the Magnum back into the safe and shut it. Not because I was letting this slide, but because I had a much better plan in mind. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The headlights outside cast long shadows across the living room walls. Lisa straightened up, running a hand through her hair as if she was about to meet a date, not introduce her husband to the man she had been betraying him with. I stood still, my heart pounding. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. A few moments later, the doorbell rang. Lisa hesitated, glancing at me. Maybe she saw something in my eyes, something dark lurking beneath the surface. But she ignored it and walked over to the door, taking a deep breath before opening it. And there he was, Ryan. I had never seen him before, but I knew him the second I laid eyes on him. He was younger, maybe early 30s, fit, confident, dressed in a leather jacket like he was trying too hard to look effortlessly cool. And the worst part, the way he looked at Lisa. That damn smirk, that familiarity, that undeniable sense of possession. Like she was his now. "Hey, babe," he said, stepping inside without hesitation. His eyes barely flicked to me. I clenched my jaw. The sheer audacity. Lisa smiled at him, smiled, as if I wasn't standing right there, as if she hadn't just set fire to 20 years of marriage. Ryan finally turned to me, extending a hand like we were meeting at some social event. "Hey man, I'm Ryan." I didn't shake his hand. Instead, I stepped forward, closing the distance between us. He wasn't expecting that. I could see the flicker of hesitation in his eyes. "You must have some serious nerve showing up at another man's house after sleeping with his wife," I said, my voice dangerously calm. Lisa placed a hand on my arm. "Please don't." I jerked away from her touch. Ryan chuckled, but I could tell he was uncomfortable. "Look, I get that you're upset, but Lisa made her choice, man. It happens. People grow apart." That was it. That smug, dismissive tone. I smiled, a slow, cold smile. "You're right," I said. "People do grow apart, and sometimes they learn that choices have consequences." Lisa frowned. "What are you—" I turned to her, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Did you really think I was just going to sit back and let this happen? That you'd humiliate me, throw our life away, and I'd just move on?" Her confidence cracked. She took a small step back. "Good." I turned back to Ryan. "Enjoy this moment, Ryan. Because I promise you, this is the last time you'll ever feel like you've won." Lisa gasped. "Oh my God, what did you do?" I didn't answer, because the first step of my revenge had already begun. Ryan scoffed. "Man, are you threatening me?" I smiled, shaking my head. "Threats are just words. I prefer actions." His smirk faltered for a split second before he regained his composure. He slid an arm around Lisa's waist, pulling her close. "Look, dude, I get it. This sucks, but Lisa made her decision. You can either act like a man and move on, or—" I took a deliberate step forward, forcing him to take a step back. "Ryan, let me give you some free advice," I said. "Men like you think they can take whatever they want without consequence, but you don't even realize the trap you've walked into." Lisa's eyes darted between us. I could see the unease creeping in. "What does that mean?" she asked. I turned to her, tilting my head. "It means, sweetheart, that your spontaneous new man didn't bother to check who he was messing with." Ryan rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, man. You're not some mafia boss. You're just a regular guy whose wife upgraded." I chuckled. He had no idea. Lisa had always seen me as the steady, predictable one. The husband who went to work, paid the bills, and came home without drama. What she had forgotten was that my job required a level of calculation and strategy that she had never truly understood. "Lisa," I said, "how do you think I was able to give you the life you've enjoyed for 20 years? Her brows furrowed. "What are you talking about?" I leaned in, lowering my voice just enough to make her uncomfortable. Do you know what I do at work? What I really do? Her lips parted slightly. She never asked much about my job. She just knew I handled high-stakes business deals, legal loopholes, and company acquisitions. But what she didn't realize was that I specialized in ruining people who crossed me. I stepped back, straightening my posture. Ryan, tell me, how much do you make a year? Ryan frowned. What? Your salary. Come on, don't be shy. How much? He chuckled, trying to mask his discomfort. I do all right. Lisa, did you know that all right isn't going to pay for the lifestyle you're used to? Lisa's expression shifted. Ryan scoffed. She's with me because she wants to be, not because of money. I nodded slowly. Right. And how do you think your company will feel when they find out you're sleeping with the wife of one of their biggest business connections? The blood drained from Ryan's face. Lisa's eyes widened. What? I smiled. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not know? Ryan here works for a company that heavily depends on deals with my firm. One word from me, and he won't just lose his job. He'll lose any chance of working in this industry again. Ryan's jaw clenched. You wouldn't. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my contacts. Should I make the call? Or would you rather tell Lisa how you plan to support her once you're unemployed? Lisa turned to Ryan, panic creeping into her voice. Wait, is this true? He can get you fired. Ryan didn't answer. The silence said it all. Lisa visibly paled. I could see the realization settling in. She had traded security for excitement. And now, the reality of her impulsive decision was hitting her like a truck. I put my phone away. This is just the beginning, I said, stepping past them and heading toward the door. Enjoy your new life, Lisa. Hope it was worth it. I walked out, leaving them standing there in the wreckage of their choices. But I wasn't done yet. No, this was just the first move. I didn't rush my revenge. People like Lisa and Ryan, they didn't deserve the satisfaction of a dramatic explosion. No, they needed something worse, a slow, painful unraveling. And that's exactly what I gave them. The first cracks. It started subtly. A quiet phone call to the right people, a casual conversation at the golf course, and Ryan found himself under unexpected scrutiny at work. A few weeks later, an unfortunate company restructuring took place, and Ryan's position was suddenly redundant. Lisa had no idea. Not yet. She was too busy living in the honeymoon phase of her new life until the money started running low. The apartment they moved into, much smaller than the home she shared with me. The fancy dinners, replaced with budget meals. The spontaneous vacations, gone. And then came the real breaking point. Lisa's regret begins. One night, weeks after I walked out of that house, I got a message. Lisa, can we talk? Please. I smirked at my screen but didn't reply. The calls started after that. First, just one or two, then daily, then desperate. I didn't answer because I already knew what was happening. Lisa was realizing what she threw away. Ryan wasn't the man she thought he was. Without the thrill of sneaking around, without my money providing a cushion, their relationship crumbled. Lisa had traded stability for excitement. But now, the excitement was gone, and all that was left was the mess she made. And then, months later, I saw her. It was a cold evening when I ran into Lisa again. I was coming out of an upscale restaurant after a business meeting. She was across the street, standing outside a rundown cafe, arguing with Ryan. She looked different. The confident, radiant woman I once knew, gone. Her hair was dull, her clothes less polished, and there was a desperate sadness in her eyes. Ryan stormed off, leaving her standing there alone. For the first time, she saw me. Her eyes widened. She hesitated before crossing the street, her breath visible in the cold air. "You look good," she said softly. I simply nodded, waiting. She shifted awkwardly. I wanted to say, "I'm sorry." I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" Her lip quivered. "For everything. I ruined us. I made the biggest mistake of my life." She was looking at me like I was some lifeline, like she was hoping for one last chance. I let the silence hang before finally speaking. "Yeah, you did." Her eyes watered. "Can we—" I didn't let her finish. I checked my watch. "It was nice seeing you, Lisa, but I have a date waiting for me." Her face fell. That was the final blow. I gave her one last nod before walking away, leaving her standing there, alone. She thought she had won when she left me, but now she finally understood. She had lost everything. And I had moved on.